السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه والتابعين وتابعيهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Amma ba'd, today is Monday, the 2nd of the month of Shawwal, and this matches the 25th of May, 2020. And inshallah, today we are going to go through some of the fiqh or the rules pertaining or jurisprudence pertaining to al-wudu, Bismillah. Bismillah. You have to excuse me, inshallah, as the allergy season has already started. And also, I have to remind about fasting 6 days of Shawwal. من صام رمضان وأتبعه 6 من شوال كان كصيام الدهر. The one who fasts Ramadan and follows it with fasting of 6 days of Shawwal, then it will be like fasting forever. That is because fasting Ramadan is about 30 days and Shawwal is about 6 days, 6 days in Shawwal, so 36 in total. One good deed is multiplied by 10, so that's 360 days. That's the lunar year. So if you fast those 36 days, it's as if you fasted the whole year. If you do that every year, then it's as if you fasted all your life. So this is the case with that. Another issue pertaining to this is those who have qada that they have to make up. Someone was traveling or someone was sick a day or two in Ramadan, and now they are planning to fast the 6 days. Should they start with, and the woman also who is who had her legal excuse, 6 or 7 days she has to make up. Do they have to do the qada first and then do the 6 days, or can they start with the 6 days? Allah knows best. There is a difference between the scholars on this, and Allah knows best. It is recommended that you fast the qada first. A recommendation, istihbab, to make up the qada first, as you want to free yourself from your obligations. Voluntary deeds, voluntary fast is just voluntary, but a fard fast is fard. So you better give precedence to or priority to the farida over the recommended fast. So it is recommended. But then there are worthy scholars who said that no, if you fast voluntary fast before you make up, then that doesn't work, and this will not be right. Allah knows best. This is just a recommendation. Why? Because you have an expanded or an extended time to make up. You can make up عدة من أيام أخرى, as in the Quran, the same number of days on other days. That's it. That's what you have to do. But Shawwal is a limited month. So you have this month of Shawwal. If you pass Shawwal, you cannot do the 6 days. You cannot do the 6 days because they are supposed to be 6 days within the month of Shawwal. So therefore, especially the one who has, this becomes an issue where when you have someone who maybe broke fast for like 10 days. He was traveling, for instance. So if he wants to fast those 10 days plus the 6 days, that becomes like 16 days. And this may be a lot for him. He wouldn't want to do that all of it 16 days during the month of Shawwal. Also, we know that Aisha radiallahu anha used not to make up the days of fast that she had to do, except in Sha'ban of the next year. Yani we cannot imagine that Aisha was not radiallahu anha fasting days like the day of Arafah and Ashura and يعني those 6 days, for instance, and the likes of the voluntary fast. She didn't fast voluntarily at all until the next Sha'ban came. يعني, so back again to say that it is only recommended, but then it is all right if you have an excuse. You start with those 6 days, and the qada could be later. That is allowed. That is allowed. Allah knows best. So this is where some of the rulings pertaining to this issue. Regarding fiqh al-wudu was-salah, there is a section in our book that we're following. It is about fiqh al-wudu was-salah, the understanding of the jurisprudence of wudu, ablution, and salah, prayer. So the usual way, and we are doing in point form, and we're not elaborating too much. Within half hour, you get the gist of a subject. So, شروط الوضوء, the conditions of the wudu. The condition means that if you don't fulfill that condition, the act is not is invalid actually, right? So that is the case with the shurut, and the scholars differ as many issues they differ about. They differ of the about these also the conditions or wajibat and furud, yani and nawaqid, things that will nullify. They differ in those. So we mention what the author mentions, inshallah, and there will be some comments here and there. So the first condition for the validity of the wudu is al-Islam. Yani someone who is not Muslim, he makes wudu. What would this yani wudu do for him? He has to accept the testimony of faith is the base for every other statement and action. If it is not there, the testimony of faith, I bear witness that there is no true God except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his messenger. Without this, yani, if someone prays or someone fasts, all of that is not valid, because you have to have al-Islam first. You have to testify the testimony of faith. Second, al-aql. Yani you cannot intellect. You cannot imagine someone who's insane making wudu, and if he did make wudu, it's invalid. At-tamyiz, the third. At-tamyiz is reaching what we translate in English as the age of discernment. This is the age where the child can differentiate between things, and he can do things the right way. You know how sometimes the kid is too young to understand. So maybe he's in salah and then he starts laughing. He runs out of the salah. He comes back. He doesn't know what he's doing. He may be making wudu and then he's playing around with that. It doesn't mean that you don't teach him. You teach them to do that, even though they are invalid, but you teach them how to do it so that they will do it properly, right? That's about at-tamyiz. One of the companions led the salah, as in Sahih Muslim, when he was about 6 or 7 years old, according to the narrations. 6 or 7 years old. So this one is not someone who reached the age of puberty, bulugh. He is younger, much younger than that. Maybe he reaches the age of puberty 13 or 14 or 15 even years old. But he was 6 or 7 and he led the salah. This means that he can lead the salah properly. Why he led the salah? Why was he appointed the imam? Because he memorized the most of the Quran amongst his people. So this Sahabi radiallahu anhu, he must have made wudu properly too. So the tamyiz, يعني that's where يعني it comes يعني. So that's why he mentions it here inshallah, as a condition for the validity. And I repeat again, this doesn't mean that you do not make the child make wudu. Try to make them, to help them, to teach them to make wudu, even if they are under this age, so that they know that this salah, they have to prepare themselves for it, right? And then they join it, right? They join the salah based on, yani, when we are told, command your children to pray at the age of 7. This doesn't mean just bring them to pray and stand with you and that's it. It means to teach them the proper wudu, then how to properly join the salah and pray. The fourth condition he mentions is a niyyah, the intention. So when you make wudu, you intend you are making wudu. And once again, intention is by the heart, not on the tongue. So you don't say, Allahumma inni nawaitu an atawadda. You don't say that. You don't say that. You just intend that you are making wudu. You are going to purify yourself so that it will be allowable for you to pray and so on and so forth. So that intention must be there, right? Then number 5, he says استصحاب حكمها بأن لا ينوي قطعها حتى تتم طهارته. يعني this intention has to accompany you from beginning to end. You should not cut it off. You should not break it, right? So you don't intend to make wudu, then you change that intention. You start doing something else, right? And you abandon that intention. No, you keep that intention alongside with you. And next is انقطاع for the thing that made you make wudu, that which made it obligatory upon you to make wudu, it has to stop. It has to stop. This refers to, for instance, the we're talking about here the urine and defecating. Yani, that has to stop. You do not make wudu while the urine is still coming out, right? So if that happened, then that wudu is invalid because it's lacking that condition. It is lacking that condition, except if you have a sickness. This will come, inshallah. Next, he says استنجاء أو استجمار قبله. Basically, cleaning yourself from those things that come out with water or with using toilet paper or whatever. This has to happen before wudu. You don't make wudu and then you use these things to clean yourself. Rather, cleanliness has to be finished first, then you make wudu after it. Number 8, طهورية الماء وإباحته. The fact that the water is actually pure and that it is allowable to use. Right. So the fact that the water needs to be pure, then the water needs to be pure in a way that there is no change in it, not in the smell, not in the taste or the color, right? Water has to be just what is called water, right? Not like rose water, flower water, or the likes of that. It's just, or tea, right? It's just water. So the water has to be pure. If you used water that is impure, the wudu is invalid because it's lacking a condition. As for it being allowable, there is a discussion on that. There is a discussion on that, so we leave this aside, inshallah. But the water needs to be water that is valid to be used. Next condition is to remove what prevents the water from reaching your skin. Right? So, for instance, if you are a painter and you painted and you have paint on your hand, now if you wash your hand and you didn't remove the paint, that paint or glue will stop the water from reaching your skin. Therefore, it is a condition that you remove anything that will prevent the water from reaching the parts of the wudu, the skin of the parts of the wudu. So you remove that and then you make wudu. If that is the case, then يعني you have something preventing, then the water didn't reach, then that wudu is invalid because it's lacking a condition. Another condition here is mentioned, and that is دخول وقت الصلاة في حق من حدثه دائم. The entrance of the time of salah regarding the one who has a sickness that is continuous, staying, lasting with him, that causes him to have, for instance, urine or gas come out regularly. He cannot stop that. So some people have this sickness. Urine comes out always. They call it sellus, and or something like it, always coming out. He cannot stop that. This person, according to this condition, and there is a difference between the scholars regarding that. This person, he doesn't make wudu until the time of salah comes in. So he doesn't make wudu for Salat al-Dhuhr at Duha time. So if he made wudu at Duha time to pray Salat al-Duha, he prayed Salat al-Duha, maybe let's say at 12 or 12:30. Then Dhuhr is like 1:15 now almost. So this person, he cannot use that wudu for Salat al-Dhuhr because he made wudu like 12 or 12:30. Yes, still, he did not deliberately go to use the washroom, but he has this urine coming out continuously, and therefore he should not be using the same wudu. According to this condition, he has to wait until the time of Salat al-Dhuhr comes in. Then he makes wudu. Then he can pray the Sunnah of Dhuhr, Salat al-Dhuhr, and whatever nafila after al-Dhuhr. Up until Asr, then Asr comes in. He doesn't make wudu for Asr before Asr. The time of Asr has to be in. These days it's like 5:18, 5:19. So he has to make wudu. Then after that, like 5:20, 25, he makes wudu. Then he prays the Sunnah before Asr. Then he prays Asr, like that. This is what this condition is, according to those who say that the wudu of this person becomes invalid. There are those scholars who say that the wudu is actually valid until he himself deliberately has to use the washroom. But if it is coming out just because of that sickness he has, they say the wudu is still valid. For some of the scholars, they say that. But anyhow, this is another condition. So these are 10 conditions. He mentions furud al-wudu, the obligations of the wudu, the parts that are, or the things that are wajib. So a condition usually is before, right? So fard is while يعني you are having the wudu. So also leaving a fard, it nullifies the wudu, right? So furud al-wudu, the main parts, the main necessary or the acts for wudu: غسل الوجه ومنه المضمضة والاستنشاق, to wash the face, and according to what the Sheikh here mentioned, including rinsing the mouth and the nose. مضمضة, putting the water in the mouth and moving it, and then spitting it. That's madmada. Istinshaq is having the water in your hand, sniffing it up, and then blowing it out. That's istinshaq was istinthar, rinsing the nose. So according to this, washing the face, part of that is rinsing the mouth and the nose. Yani according to the madhab of Imam Ahmad, the other three madhab don't view the washing the mouth and the nose to be from the furud, but in the Quran, wash your faces, right? So mouth and nose is part of the face, and it is in the Sunnah that we wash our mouth and our nose always. It's not reported that you skip those. So it's not I have seen I have seen some teachers. I was long time ago, and he told me too openly that he teaches the kids. He skips washing the mouth and the nose. He says to make it easier for them. But this, yani, skipping, since he says since it's not an obligation, yani, even if it is not an obligation, this teaching is wrong. And you teach them the full wudu, inshallah, not yani skip parts of it to make it shorter and easier for them. They might grow up and end up doing that or being relaxed in this. So that shouldn't be. You teach them to wash the mouth and the nose. Third obligation is مسح جميع الرأس ومنه الأذنان, to wipe over the head, all of it, and part of that is the two ears. So there is a discussion on that. That some of the scholars they would say you have to wipe over only part of the hair, and Rasulullah SAW used to wipe over his head, going one time to the back and back into the front. If someone is wearing a imama or like that, that's a different where you wipe over the imama and part of the hair if it's showing. You want to do that, or the imama only. Details on that. There is a discussion on that. But this is one of the fara'id, and wiping the ears is part of that. Then number four, غسل الرجلين مع الكعبين, to wash the feet along with both ankles. The ankles are the two bones on the side of the foot. The two bones on the side of the foot. Some deviant groups, they have something else for al-Ka'b, and some يعني people who are not knowledgeable, يعني just within the slang of their country, they use the Ka'b for the heel, right? That's a mistake, right? That's a mistake. That's why they understand from the hadith which says that ما أسفل الكعبين, which tells the Muslim to not drag the clothes, right? They hear al-ka'bayn, the two ankles, they think it's the heel, right? That's a mistake in understanding. It's just based on slang. So al-ka'bayn, they are the two bones on the sides of the every foot. So every foot has two ankles, right? Every foot has two ankles, and that's what we say in the lining up for salah. We say ankle to ankle, ka'b fil ka'b, right? So that's what is meant. So you wash the feet alongside with the two ankles. Number five, he says at tartib, to do it in order, to do it in order. And يعني you don't wash the face, يعني mix it up with the يعني the feet. You start with the feet, then the face, then the head, then the arms. You do it in the order that was taught. You know, you wash يعني the two hands first. That's recommended. Then mouth, nose, face. Then like that. يعني you go in order. You don't يعني switch the order. And there is a difference of opinion in that, but the majority يعني are upon that. But there is one hadith that For the mouth and the nose, the order is not the same. The order is not the same. Some scholars authenticated it. That's why they say it is not a must. But Allah knows best. Yani, the wudu should be done in order. And number six is what he calls al-muwalah. 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 And muwalah is doing the washing the body parts one after the other and not leaving a long time in between. So you don't just wash your face, right? uh, يعني, your arms, and then you go sit for half an hour, then you come back, do your hair and your head and your feet. This long break that you took, when you come back you have to start all over again. Why? Because doing them right after the other is one of the fara'id of al wudu according to our book here. uh, so for instance, you are making wudu, you started, and then someone called you, so you answered your phone and you went, you stayed for a long time, then you came back. You came back, now you start all over. Unlike when you are, it's just you answered 1 minute and then you turned off, but you did not change any intention, as was mentioned in the conditions. Huh? You did not intend to stop making wudu, right? You just answered intending to continue. So this intention needs to continue with you to the end. If you received the phone call and then now you said, okay, forget it now, just stop it now, I will make wudu later, right? When you come later, you start from the beginning. You don't build upon what you have done. Last thing is nawaqid al wudu, the things that will nullify the wudu. There are six. One of them is al kharij min al sabilain, whatever that comes from the two channels. That is the front private part and the behind from the private parts. Number two, he says al kharij al fahish al najis min al jasad. What comes out, that is a lot, that is impure from the body. This is not something that is agreed upon. There are differences about it. And suppose someone has wudu and then he bleeds blood. According to some scholars, as you hear here, that it's going to invalidate the wudu. And this is based on some reports from the companions, right? And there are other reports that show otherwise. Some companions bleeded and they didn't do anything about it, they just continued, no issues. So that is an issue of give and take. And also, if you have something coming from the body, pus or like that, some scholars, they will say if it's a lot, then it's going to affect your wudu negatively and invalidate it. Allah knows best. There isn't a crystal clear evidence on this, but that is the position that some scholars have taken. Number three, zawal al-aql binawmin aw ghayri, that the intellect is gone with sleeping or other than that. So this invalidates the wudu. So that is the case here, and it is true that if you went to sleep, then you يعني your wudu is gone. There is a difference regarding the issue where you have wudu and you are sitting in a position that it is confirmed nothing can come out from you, like you cannot have pass air, pass wind from your position. The scholars differ regarding this. They say if you are sure nothing will come out, then your wudu is still valid. Others say no, the sleep in itself just negates the wudu. It invalidates the wudu. Like that أو غيره, يعني you are knocked out يعني with some and you needed to have an operation or whatever, and they used some يعني something to knock you out, then the wudu is lost. Number 4, ومسح الفرج باليد قبلا كان أو دبرا من غير حائل. He said to uh, wipe or the touch the private part with the hand, front or behind. The private parts, front or behind, touching them with the hand without something separating. So if you are wearing clothes and you touch them from above the clothes, there is no issues. But then, if you touch them directly, whether the front private part or the back, then it is يعني, um, and the back here referring to the anus in specific. So if that is the case, then the wudu is invalid according to this, and there is a discussion in this regard. There are hadith about talking about um, the one who touches his private part, let him make wudu. And there is the other hadith where a companion asked Rasulullah SAW that he might touch his private part, and he told him that it is just part of you. Yani, as if you touched your face, as if you touched your foot, as if you touched your leg, like that. So there is a discussion there. يعني, it's not the point to go through details, but this is one of the well-known positions that are taken by the scholars. The other position is just that it is recommended, if that is what you have done, you touched your private part, it is recommended to make wudu again. And there are more positions than that, but I'll suffice myself with this. Another thing that invalidates the wudu is aklu lahm al-ibil, to eat the camel's meat, and there is a specific hadith in this regard, that the one who ate camel's meat, then let him make wudu. That's يعني a specific hadith in this regard, although it is a matter of discussion also between the scholars. يعني this is what is known in the Hanbali madhab. They took with this hadith and they followed it. The other madhab, they have explanations, interpretations as to why this hadith does not mean that the wudu is invalidated. And there is a discussion, and we're not in the يعني, this is not the time to go through those details. Number 6, from the things that invalidate the wudu, he says الردة عن الإسلام والعياذ بالله, to apostate or to apostatize from al-Islam, that is to leave al-Islam والعياذ بالله. So if someone had wudu and left Islam, then his wudu becomes null and void, in a way that if he comes back to Islam now, if he comes back to Islam, he has to make wudu again. He cannot use his previous wudu. And with this, we come to the end. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. And we'll see you tomorrow, inshallah. We'll see you tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala. I have a question here. Can you to appreciate in words and actions? طيب إن شاء الله. طيب إن شاء الله. I think we did have a topic about that, and that is the topic of ashukr, gratitude or thankfulness. This we have done in the just shortly before Ramadan, or from the lectures in Ramadan. So I believe it was before. So anyways, we have done one like that before, so you can look at the the lectures that we have done. There's the list of the videos there, and you can choose a shukr or thankfulness to Allah Azza wa Jal. That is the topic. And inshallah, yani, this is just within those talks during the period of lockdown, we have done that one. so you can watch it, inshallah, and I will try to prepare something regarding this, inshallah. جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.